up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Magic Hour. I'm Kurt.
I'm Paul.
And today we are covering the movie Onward, a Pixar film. So let's jump in our mighty steed with Ian Barley and Dad Pants and take the path of... I messed it up. Let's jump in our mighty steed. So let's jump in our mighty steed Guinevere with Ian Barley and Dad Pants and take the path of great peril. You like that one?
I like the fact that you messed it up so bad. I have no idea what you just said. Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
don't change a thing.
Okay.
It's kind of fitting because I am in terrible shape right now. I threw out my bag at work.
This has been our day, hasn't it? So,
you're a little bit sick. I'm crippled.
oh,
So
yeah.
we're not gonna redo it. We're gonna just let it go.
It's not the coronavirus, guys. So.
Oh my God.
But what'd you think of it, man? It was enjoyable to me.
I liked it. It wasn't. Should we go ahead and just go right into the criticism?
Yeah, man. I mean,
I wasn't blown away, just because I've seen Pixar do better with the comedy.
oh yeah.
It felt like they were trying a little bit too hard, and I thought they probably thought by bringing in Chris Pratt that maybe he was gonna do some improv or something, because he was supposed to be pretty much the comic relief. He plays the older brother, Barley Lightfoot.
Yeah, I agree with you on that assessment because it seemed like the funny was a bit forced.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There was a couple of chuckle moments, but I was never like when you watch Toy Story, man. All the innuendo and the inside jokes and stuff that's intended for adults. This didn't really have any of that,
I'm going to say this, and it might be a little bit controversial saying this. I think we're seeing signs that John Lasseter, who left during the Me Too era, right at the tail end of the Me Too thing, I think it's showing that they really need that creative insight sometimes. Because when he was at the head of Pixar, you had these great jokes. And they still have great premises and kind of creativeness, but I just felt there was something missing. That little ingredient, and they did keep that with Frozen 2. I actually reassessed the movie recently because it came out on Blu-ray, and I actually liked it a lot more on my second viewing. And it was a lot more clever than I gave it credit for. I still don't think the music was as great as
the first
film.
Yeah.
But
those songs in the first one were iconic,
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, and I felt like this was following a basic, I don't even know if you'd call it buddy movie trope, It's these two brothers. They're going on this great adventure with their dad pants.
Well, let's explain what the premise from the opening is. That their father is dead.
Right.
The youngest son didn't really know him.
Never met him.
Because he died like right after he was born or something.
I think it was right before he was born.
Okay.
Because she said that he tried to fight so he would be there to see him born. So... Anyway.
Right, so both of these kids are living at home with their mother, and she has a gift that he left them. And we need to back up even further because the premise of the movie is that there was magic in this world. There's no humans in this world. Right. They're all elves or pixies.
Mythical creatures.
Or centaurs. All the mythical creatures that we usually see.
Unicorns.
Unicorns. All those mystical creatures you see in these fantasy films and stories, they inhabit their own world. So the primary the primary protagonists are elves.
Right. And elves held great magic back in time until progress came along and technology took over where magic had been
they
before.
set up this little premise where they're showing these people learning magic, this one guy learning magic, and he can't master it because it takes many years to learn magic,
right,
to be able to perform it. And then they cut to this lady in some kind of medieval school,
Smurf house,
and she has just created the first light bulb, and all you have to do is hit the switch on it, and it works.
And before they were using magic to light the inside.
Right. But it would take you years to learn the magic to do something like that. Where she has made this scientific device, and all you have to do is hit the switch, and you don't have to learn anything.
Which was the catalyst to...
So science takes over magic, although magic still exists in the background, but is largely abandoned because of these scientific... science has just made it so easy to do all these things
it was
that
just
magic used
easy.
to do.
I think that was the point, is like anything worth doing... isn't easy type lesson in it. But yeah, so Ian, it opens after it shows that part. Then Ian Lightfoot is the youngest, who's turned 16, and it's his birthday. And Barley, Ian is played by Tom Holland, and Barley is played by Chris Pratt, and they're brothers. And Barley is his older brother. Barley is really into like the whole D&D type world, role-playing games, and he's really protective of the history of the past. And now pick it up where you were saying.
Well, their father left them a present that they were both supposed to get when they turned when they were over 16, I think it was. Come on, man, keep that coronavirus away from me,
I'm sorry, man. Sorry, I'm trying.
We might get demonetized.
Well, that's what I think of demonetization.
I mean, keep that nasty
COVID-19.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that'll pass. So anyway, so he left this magical staff, and if you read this incantation that in this roll of paper, they get to have a day with their dad, just one day, and then he disappears.
Yeah, at sunset on the second day, he disappears.
So the oldest brother tries it out, and he can't get it to work.
It wouldn't work at all.
Right. The younger brother tries. The younger brother has magical powers, and he's able to get it to work, but the crystal on the staff explodes before he's able to conjure up his father.
It was called a raven's eye, the stone was.
Okay. So if the raven eye blows up before he can conjure his father's whole body, it only goes to his hip, right?
Yeah, so we have dad pants.
Dad pants running around.
We got dad pants. And dad pants was probably the funniest part of the whole movie.
So the MacGuffin is that crystal. What's it called again?
The raven's eye, I believe.
Raven's eye. The MacGuffin is the raven's eye. I need to get another raven's eye for this great staff. And so I guess, he had a map showing them where to find another one.
Well, no, they had to go
from the game?
to the Manticore. He had a book from the game.
That's right.
That was
it a he? I thought it was a woman.
No, I'm talking about Barley. Barley had the book from the game.
Okay.
And that's where they got the idea of going to the Manticore, played by Octavia Spencer.
Yep.
And she's supposed to be this fearless warrior, tiger, bear, beast, scorpion thing.
Yep.
That is a monster slayer. And so they've got to go there, and she gives them the map telling them where another raven's eye is so they can finish conjuring the dad. Because up to this point, the only way the dad can communicate is with his feet.
Right.
And there's some special moments in that too, like a dance off, and which I said, he was probably the funniest one. Dad Pants was probably the funniest character in the whole show.
I don't know. I like the Pixies.
You continue because I can't talk.
So yeah, they go to find the Manticore, and she owns a restaurant.
Yeah, like a medieval inn.
Yeah.
She gave up her previous job just to become this restaurant owner.
Yeah.
Because magic is gone and there was nobody for her to defeat. But she does not want to do it because she is comfortable in her comfortable life, and there's no way she's sending these two young boys out on an adventure like this because it's perilous. Ergo, the path of great peril, and so they end up getting into this whole situation where there's a fire and they have to leave, and they get one of the maps because she wouldn't give them the real thing, and the real thing burned up.
Yep.
And so they take off on this perilous adventure, and it's, think of every buddy movie you've ever seen, and that's what this was. Is like these two boys are out on an adventure. Ian wants so bad to be able to finally, he keeps making these lists of things he wants to check off when he's able to talk to his dad. And so he's focusing so much on that him and his brother get into these arguments, and he tells him that he doesn't, in this situation where he couldn't lie, he says that he doesn't think that Barley is a failure. And if he lied, because he took on the form of something else, which was his mom's boyfriend, which was a minotaur named, of all things, Colt Bronco. So they're pretending to be Colt Bronco because they get stopped by the police. And when he lies, it makes the spell fade. So he's like, his arm will turn back into Ian's arm, and so that's when his brother, Barley, finds out that his brother thinks he's a failure. They
could take the highway directly to where this jewel is, but Chris Pratt character, the Barley character, wants to go on this epic quest. No, we're going to go off road. So they start driving off road, and they meet various obstacles on the way, and the cops are still chasing them. And the pixies are chasing them too, aren't they?
Yeah, well, see, the pixies are introduced while they're trying to get gas. They run out of gas. And Ian accidentally shrinks Barley down to this pixie size.
Yeah.
And so they go to this convenience store to get gas, and these pixies show up riding motorcycles because they don't know how to fly anymore.
Yeah, that's another thing. Even the centaur,
Manticore,
no, the Colt Bronco, he drives a car when he's half horse. He could just gallop.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no one uses no one uses their natural born abilities. They all rely on some kind of technology to do whatever.
And that is a base to the entire story here, is that, they've squandered their natural skills and natural abilities for things that are easy.
And I guess that was kind of you could learn something from that. I mean, have we squandered as a race, human race, have we squandered our natural abilities?
Well, there's a certain somebody who believed that was the case, and that was is that technology was going to destroy the world. So I guess it depends on how you.
Who are you talking
Unabomber.
About? Oh,
Ted
okay.
Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Now we're demonetized. But anyway, so they go on this great adventure, and I'm going to point this out because I noticed it immediately. So they get to this part where they're off-road, they're on this path of great peril, and they come to this bottomless pit, this long, whatever it is. And there's a lot of Ian coming into his powers. Situations are presented for Ian to come in and become a great sorcerer, and this was one of them, where he had to believe in his abilities in order to cross this great abyss.
Yes.
To get to the other side to drop a drawbridge. So he finally does it. You know, lots of drama and excitement. They get to the other side. They drop the drawbridge. They drive the van across. Colt comes across in his Bronco. That he's driving a Bronco, by the way. I don't know if that was lost on you or not.
No, I just realized
his
that.
Colt Bronco driving a Bronco, and he's a police officer. And so they have this whole thing where Colt's telling them, "You're worrying your mother. Get home." Well, Ian, up to this point, was very timid and scared and never took any chances. He was a good kid. He didn't have any friends at school because he was so shy. But as this trip progresses, as you can imagine, buddy movie, he's finding himself. And so one of the things that he couldn't do early on was drive. He was too scared to merge into traffic. Well, now here he is jumping in the van and taking off and running from the cops.
Yep.
Well, he's driving down the road from the cops, and the cops come from the other direction. I was like, how'd they get over there? If that was the only bridge, how'd they get over there and come in the other direction?
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
But anyway, if that's the worst complaint I have, then it's all good. So they find these ravens, these stone ravens out in the middle of nowhere that are pointing to the path they've got to find. And of course, they have the whole Indiana Tomb Raider adventure through the tunnel of water, and they turn a big Cheeto into a boat.
Yeah, there was a lot of strange stuff like that.
And then, so they beat this whole gauntlet, right? At the end of the underground river, they get into the gauntlet, they survive it, and when they come out, which they think they're going to come into some chamber that has this stone on it. Well, they push the lid of it open, and it's a freaking manhole cover right outside of the high school.
Yeah.
And so they're like, what's going on? You know, and of course the time is clicking down. They only have an hour or so to figure everything out and finish making Dad. And of course they get into a fight, and Ian storms off with Dad Pants, and Barley was left there, which happened to be right next to this fountain that he had tried to chain himself to protect it, because they were doing construction and they were going to tear it down. So continue.
So the cops arrive and they're trying to arrest him. He runs up there, and then he discovers that this is actually where that jewel is kept, and he has this little piece that he needs to activate it, and he puts it in and he gets the jewel, and
it releases the curse.
It releases the curse. The whole school, and I thought the CGI was amazing. By the way, the CGI is getting so real. Like
it is, man.
It's getting to the point where it's like,
it's almost like if they really put forth the effort to make the characters look real, but they intentionally don't do that.
Yeah, they make them look cartoonish.
They make them look cartoonish, because if they put the same effort into the characters as they did the backgrounds, the big spread scenery, even down to the slightest detail in the wood and stone, I mean, I would say that it would be hard to tell a difference.
It's getting to that point. But they have this great dragon made out of fragments from the high school, and it was just, wow. I was like, God, that's just...
The way it pulled the mascot for the high school was like a cartoon dragon. So It wasn't Puff the Magic Dragon type dragon. And so this dragon, this curse, is pulling all this stone from the high school to make himself. And he pulls the face of the dragon off the wall, and that becomes his face.
Yeah.
And so now it's trying to... its only job is to get that stone back. And now they're trying to outrun it so they can go finish the spell, because there's only like just a few minutes left before the dad goes away. And of course, big battle. Mom shows up with the Manticore. And there was a whole situation where they had to go and basically steal this big sword, Manticore, and the mom, who was played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus. And I enjoyed her. She was a good character.
Mm-hmm.
And so was the Manticore. I thought that those were both well-written characters. But they had this big battle, and of course, a mom's love, conquers all. And they come down to this dramatic moment at the climax of the whole fight, where both brothers cannot be there to finish the dad. One of them is going to have to sacrifice seeing their dad for the last time so that they could keep the curse off of them. And so Ian comes to this realization that he has not missed out on having somebody there for him like a dad, because Barley has been there for him his whole life and taken care of him and taught him and protected him. There was a whole situation where Barley never told his dad goodbye because he was scared when he was a little bitty boy.
Yeah.
So Ian sacrifices his time to see his dad so he can hold, and he's the wizard, he's the one with the power, so he can hold the curse off of Barley and Dad so they can have that closure moment. And it was very touching and, a good ending to a decent movie.
Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot more themes than I thought now that I think about it. It was more of I feel like it was more of one of those movies that you have to see if you have a big family. It's more like a family movie.
Cautionary tale.
Yeah, because they had all these themes between brothers and dealing with loss and going on quests with the people you love and all these kind of adult themes in a lot of ways. So it was a very mature effort by Pixar. Like I said, I don't think it was necessarily as funny as some, or I don't know. There was just something missing.
One refreshing thing about it is that Pixar has been living off of the aftermath of all these great stories they started telling.
Yeah.
And this was a completely new story, and it was directed by Dan Scanlon. I'm not sure what he's done in the past, but it's done okay with the critics. It got an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, which that's all critics too, because it hasn't released to the public yet.
Yeah.
There was some controversy, and I'm going to let you address that.
Yeah, well, so there was a gay character who mentions her girlfriend, and I guess it was censored out of the Russian.
Come on, Russia.
A Russian premiere of the movie. So.
And it wasn't even that.
I completely missed it. I had to ask you about it when I read. I was like, do you remember that part?
I noticed it, but it wasn't out of place. They were having this whole conversation about what it's like to be a parent to kids that don't belong to you, that you did not give birth to. And all she said was, I know how you feel because my girlfriend's daughter and I didn't get along at first. And that was it. And Russia censored the movie because of that. So, there was one little interesting tidbit that happened at the beginning of the movie. You know what I'm talking about? Before the movie.
Oh, you talking about The Simpsons?
Yeah, man.
That's Disney flexing their IP muscles, because they own all of 20th Century Fox stuff. That includes The Simpsons. They had a short movie. It was all about Maggie Simpson, the little baby, right?
Yeah, Maggie and her
she
true
falls
love.
She falls in love with a little boy at the amusement park. Not amusement park, the park.
Yeah, it was the we're not responsible for injuries part.
Yeah.
In fine Simpson fashion. It was very cute, man. I thought, at first when they did it, I thought, oh boy, they're going to make another Simpsons movie. That this is just a trailer for a Simpsons movie. But it was an actual Simpsons short, and it was well done, and it was written and directed and created by, I never say his name, Matt Groening?
Groening. I never know how to say his name either.
But he's a genius. Longest running animated series of all times, The Simpsons.
I know grown men grown ass men who still watch The Simpsons. They never miss an episode.
I have like stopped on it when I've been flipping through the channels. But I'm a big kid anyway, so overall, it's really hard to enjoy something when you don't feel good.
Yeah.
So this was an especially hard movie for us to
both
review.
of us, because my arm, I have a pinched nerve in my back right now. My arm, part of it is numb. So it was the whole time I couldn't focus. That's why I let you recount most of it, because I was just like trying to get comfortable in my seat because those seats were so hard, and then I'm trying to get my arm in a position where I don't feel the numbness so bad, because if I put it up like this, I don't feel it.
But then you're sitting there with your elbow in front of the people behind us.
And then, the people were like, what is with this guy? He keeps squirming in the seat. And the theater was kind of cold, too.
It was, man.
Oh, man. I
wasn't sure if I was cold or had a fever.
So I took my jacket off and draped myself, and I'm trying to move my arm up like this, and I put my foot up to kind of straighten out my back, and oh, God, it was ridiculous.
But we survived it.
I liked it. I would like to see it again. I'm sure it was a better movie than I saw, because, like I said, I was just fidgeting the whole time, not as focused as I should have been. But I would probably give it a 4.
Yeah,
I thought there was some important things.
I would say 3.5 to a 4, because I thought the writing could have been a bit funnier, especially considering the talent you had behind a couple of those characters. Chris Pratt, Tom Holland, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Those are some funny people.
Yeah.
Especially Chris Pratt and Julia.
I kind of think they should have got somebody other than Chris Pratt, because he was supposed to be playing the dude bro, basically, character. And I just don't think they should have got somebody that could have brought a little bit more quirkiness to the character.
Yeah. Well, he was playing a role-playing nerd, is what.
Yeah.
He was like a big nerd.
Would a dude bro be into like a role-playing game?
A dude?
He was more like a dude, I thought. A dude bro. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right term.
To me, that reminds me of like the dude that, when he opens his door, pot smoke is rolling out.
That's the kind of character I thought he was. The brother. Older brother.
No, he was more of like get together at the comic book store and exchange ideas on what you thought that comic book meant, and getting together with his friends and playing this fantasy game.
Well, why get Chris Pratt for that? So when I think of Chris Pratt, I think of a frat boy. So I don't think of a nerd per se.
Well,
I think they got the wrong guy to play that.
And I bet those two, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, met on the Avengers set and somehow got talked into doing this movie together.
Well, it's probably a barrel of money that they got.
Oh, yeah.
They got...
It's Disney money.
They got rolled into the room. Hey, here you go. We need you for this movie.
And I mean, and it was acted well.
Yeah.
It was voice acted very well. I would not take that away from it. However, it could have been funnier. With that being said, I think it's a great movie to take your kids on the weekend.
Because that's the thing. Chris Pratt is a good actor, but he has to have the material. They probably should have gotten an actual comedian, a nerdish comedian, somebody like...
what's his name?
Larry David. I'm thinking Larry David, but he's obviously too old for it. But somebody in that vein.
Dang it, I can't remember his name, but he's got long, curly blonde hair, and he was on that show on HBO where they were creating this new software. Oh, TJ something. He would have been perfect for it.
How about this? Call me crazy, Dave Chappelle.
Well, everything Dave Chappelle touches.
Because he's kind of a nerd.
He is a comic book fan, isn't he? Well, Snoop's a comic book fan.
But if you watch any of his interviews, he's a big nerd.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. This guy's a big nerd. I would say you're a bit of a nerd too, man.
Yeah, I didn't
in the most lovable way I could call it.
But I didn't really get into the D. I feel like Dave Chappelle would have been into D&D growing up. I was around it.
Yeah, I played it before as a kid, but I never got
and
into it.
I knew guys like that, and I knew people that read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I didn't really even read them till I was an adult.
My brother was like big into that as a teenager, and then I didn't get interested in it and start reading the books until
I was more
20s.
Science. I love science fiction, not so much fantasy. I didn't really get in fantasy till I got older and could appreciate it more.
And now you write it.
Well, kind of. I'm still pretty much science fiction.
Well,
that's my true love. But anyway, so what? 3.5 to a 4, 4. Go see it.
Take your kids.
Take your kids.
Again, they released a movie like this at the worst possible time for kids.
Yeah.
It's not a good time of year. But
yeah, why did they release it?
Well, we really can't say anything because Sonic did really well, and we didn't think.
That's right.
We didn't think that it would, and it did really well. So this thing.
In fact, I said it's not going to do well because kids are in school, blah blah blah, and it went ahead and. I was right about Birds of Prey though.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got.
You know they changed the name on a lot of.
Yeah, I do know.
There was an article about it. They put Harley Quinn. A lot of theaters were putting Harley Quinn instead of Birds of Prey because people didn't know what the movie was. It's like, why are you burying the lead? That should have been front and center, Harley Quinn. So they learned that lesson the hard way. But take us out.
All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Please comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about the movie, and we will see you on the next video.